the agenda. If anyone wants to do that, please come up to the podium and say your name.
John Ulrich, Ward 1. Anyhow, to continue on my story, which is based in truth, so the last story I told you is absolutely happened. It's court record. This one is as well. I have an officer, Ethan Smith, right? The city doesn't enforce civil actions from the district court. Never have. Ethan Smith did. Took this document, said, no, you've been told to pay by taking your property. That property was titled to me. It wasn't titled to the person to be sold or who got sued. I wasn't even on that document. But yet the city acted to take my property, my rental property. And one of them was a HUD Section 8 rental. Had the inspection, everything. The inspector came and said, you did the best remodel I've ever seen on a mobile home into a house ever. You know, this thing about the mute, I checked it out. I'm talking freely and honestly from court transcript. I'm not talking about things that just to jag at people. But I've not gotten anybody reach out to me and say, hey, how can we fix what we did wrong to you, Mr. Ulrich? What I've gotten was, hey, he's in the pipe. Cram him down there as far as we can. Shut him the hell up. I have a letter from his dad. It says, if I come into City Hall, I'll be arrested. Then it says, all my communications to anybody will be routed to a central point. They'll decide whether it has any relevance, and then they'll proceed ahead. If that's not Nazi communist First Amendment blocking, I don't know what is. Right? And why? Oh, I figured this out. You're scared because you did something wrong to me. I'd be scared if I took someone's property without justification, but I've never threatened anyone. I've never made any kind of insinuation of terror. But that man writes a letter, and all of a sudden I can't go into City Hall like every other person in this town, and I got an army of haters because I stepped forward and stood against the people who said, no, we're doing what's right. You show me where the city police enforce civil actions from district court, especially ones that don't include my name, and then they use it to take my property. That counted to $180,000 of rental income. Gee, do you think if I had that money, I'd be houseless or would have been houseless? Hell no. But does that matter? You guys will throw $2-3 million in tip money at one of these big developers from out of state. Do you know that's a contract? You're getting a contract. That means prevailing wage. It's got to be checked. Somebody in this body needs to start checking everybody that does contracts with this city and make sure they pay their employees the living wage. Why? Because if you don't do that, you're giving a coupon to people who are competing with people in the real world. Red's Towing, you talk about that. They compete with the rest of the world, but they don't have to pay living wage when they're contracted for leaf removal, and they're contracted to impound cars, which they steal from cars blindly, and it says on their thing, oh, we're not responsible for theft. Then you call the city, and the city says, oh, we indemnify ourselves from any theft from any impounded vehicle. A license to steal, just like my trailers. It was a HUD Section 8 rental that I was getting paid for. This isn't just some whim that I said, oh boy, I'm gonna stuff this piece of crap trailer together and rent it out. I made places with sheetrock and updated plumbing because I did 40 years as a carpenter and a construction worker. And it was all taken from me, and you're all sitting back laughing, and I'm struggling to breathe and get the air, and y'all just go, oh well, not my fault, not my life, not nothing. You guys can do something about this, and you just choose not to.
Any other public comment on items not on the agenda? And if you are attending virtually, you can